Thanks for having me to Catalyst Week, by the way. This has been amazing. I've met some amazing folks. It's crazy how many people from Montreal are here. Where's my Montreal friends? What's up? And thanks to Dan Adams for getting me out here. I have definitely left my comfort zone in Venice Beach and come to a different place where I am challenged and tested. So, and we're here to talk about that, the hero's journey. What is the hero's journey, and why is it so important? Well, the quick academic answer, I'll get to the fun answer in a second, is in the early part of the 20th century, there was a guy named Joseph Campbell, and he was studying myths and legends and stories from all over the world. And he started noticing something, a similar pattern in all of these stories. And what he noticed was heroines and heroes from all over the world, from every time period, were taking more or less the same journey. And he called this the hero's journey. It's a circular pattern that has three basic parts: separation, initiation, and return. He went on to fill in that circle with many more detailed points, but we'll just stick to the basics. And it usually goes something like this. A heroine or hero starts out in their village or office or comfort zone. They are separated from it. Sometimes they get booted out. Sometimes they just get lost in the big city. Oftentimes, big scary Lawrence Fishburne shows up and says, you can take the red pill or you can take the blue pill. Any way it goes, the hero or heroine is now on an adventure. They face challenge after challenge. They suffer defeats, gain victories. Sometimes they get special powers or magic weapons. Finally, after lots of struggle, the evil is vanquished, or the dragon is slayed, the treasure is taken. They have been initiated into herohood. They then return to share what they had gained: separation, initiation, return. A textbook hero journey would be The Wizard of Oz. Dorothy is living an average farm life, but deep inside, she is unsatisfied. She wishes for something more, something over the rainbow. Getting her wish, a tornado comes, picks up her house, and drops it in the land of Oz. And the good witch of the north comes along with a call to adventure. Dorothy, go find the Wizard of Oz if you want to go home. And here's some magic slippers. So Dorothy goes out on the yellow brick road, finds friends and allies, all searching for the Wizard of Oz, all hoping he's going to give them something that they lack. They battle monsters and suffer defeats and almost die several times and gain victories. And finally, they find the Wizard of Oz, only to discover he's a fraud. Just some dude from Omaha. But the surviving the adventure has made them realize that what they were looking for, they had inside them the whole time. Dorothy has been initiated from farm girl into hero girl. So all she has to do is click her heels and return home. Separation, initiation, return. So it's interesting because you can now take this information and analyze a story, and you can see the same pattern that Joe Campbell saw many years ago. But ultimately, so what? You know, so you can, now you have some academic information. But to me, this is the fun part, because as it turns out, the adventures and misadventures of your life follow this same pattern. Joe Campbell deduced that all these stories were the same because they all came from the same place. They all came from in here, and they all came from here, and they all came from humans. And humans whether living 10,000 years ago in the forest or living right now in Las Vegas, all fear and desire the same things. We all fear pain, judgment, and death, and we all want love, happiness, and wealth. What you see on the big screen and what you read in novels is your own hopes, dreams, and desires chasing each other around, creating drama, resolving conflict. Why else would you sit in a dark room mindlessly shoveling popcorn into your pie hole? Ah, that Will Ferrell's funny, man. I've done it many times. No, I have my old school notes. The answer is, to quote my friend Alan Cohen, we are not separate from the characters we see in our movies and in our novels. They are us. It's one journey. And if it's all one journey, that makes you a hero. You are the hero of your own journey. And I don't mean hero like saving the planet from aliens or rescuing school children from a burning building. I mean the day-to-day living of your life. Do you live in fear, or do you make decisions based on fear? Or are you living with courage? Now, right around now, Campbell makes a remarkable correlation between living life and the hero's journey. He gives this advice to his students, and I'm sure you guys have all heard it a million times. Follow your bliss. Do that thing that you love to do the most, and do it no matter what. And that is the perfect starting place for a real life hero's journey. A good personal example, one of my personal heroes, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs went on the same quest as the Grail Knights. He went into the forest of Silicon Valley. He followed his bliss and took a lifelong adventure. As he traveled, miracles of coincidences happened, as well as amazing disasters. He battled monsters, Microsoft and IBM and stockholders and board members. But he went into the forest and returned multiple times with multiple grails. And I know it sounds cheesy or maybe commercial, but if you own a smartphone, you are personally connected to the life of Steve Jobs. Just like when you flick on a switch, you're connected to Thomas Edison's life's journey. So the hero's journey is kind of like a roadmap. You can see where you are in the cycle, and so you know where you are. Have you left the village? Are you stuck in the village? Did you answer the call to adventure? So all of my personal journeys represent this or reflect this. In fact, the journey that takes me right here is a pretty good example. So a long time ago, I was stuck in a village called Midlife Crisis. You laugh now. It's a horrible place. It's a bad village. It's a crowded village. I don't know if you have heard anything about these things, but it's all true and it's all horrible. Anyway, in the midst of this, both of my parents passed away, really close to each other, within 3 weeks. And it was my mother's was particularly brutal. She died of a misdiagnosed ulcer, and there was just some silliness about dying over an accident. But after we buried them, something really interesting happened. I woke up the next day and I went, what am I doing in this village? This is horrible. The pain of that loss, I think, woke me up to where I was, and I had realized at that point that I had better get about the business of following my bliss before I too was gone. So I was and still am a commercial filmmaker. I make commercials for a living. But I had always wanted to do this movie about Campbell and the hero's journey and following your bliss. And I just never thought I could do it. You know, it was always something that I secretly desired but never really had the confidence to do. And plus, you know, when you're in the middle of a midlife crisis, you don't really care about those things. So I decided to make this film, and I, like a Grail Knight, I went into the forest to make a film about the hero's journey. Actually, I'm half Japanese, so I saw myself more like a Grail ninja than an actual knight. And the second I started on this journey, miracles of coincidences opened up, and one amazing person led me to another, and miracle opportunities led to miracle opportunities. Not to say that there wasn't epic failures as well. Actually, I'll just share a quick failure, the worst one in the movie making process. So I had been about halfway done and spent a lot of money on it, and it was our own money, my family's. I'm not sure if my child's going to college anymore. And I'd gone around the world. I'd gone to Bali and Italy, and I had collected a lot of interviews and shot this amazing temples and churches everywhere. And about a year and a half into it, we had put the movie together, and it was pretty long at that point, maybe close to 5 hours. And we watched it back at one point and realized it was a complete piece of crap. And at that point, you know, it was just too late in the process. Like, I had already spent the money, and from my crisis point, it was like I had, you know, put my family in financial jeopardy, and I had wasted a year of my life, and oh God, who am I to take Campbell's work and turn it into something? And it was a pretty bad crisis. And in the middle of that crisis, I had known that there was these stories that people had told, and I was gonna take young kids and reenact their stories. So I said, okay, well, that's all I really have going for me, and I have a young kid, so I'll just use him and his friends. And so we shot that one day, and then got that footage back, and every single person who watched it was floored, and there were people crying, and I went, oh my God, that's how we'll do the whole film. We'll just scrap all the religious imagery and replace it with these kids acting out all the points on the hero's journey. Genius. So let's look at the journey. So I started in the village of general stupidity. I followed my bliss into the forest looking for the holy grail of a completed film about the hero's journey. And having recovered a film, I discovered that I was a better filmmaker than I thought, despite the comments of a few bitter old critics. I then returned to share that film with the village, which is the world. So what is the hero's journey? You know, and I always say, or I always used to think that the hero's journey is the journey of your life. But really, it's not. It's the journey of your bliss. Are you following your bliss? Or are you stuck in the village? Thank you.